exceed expectations. Wow. Well, what can I say? This group, they bring it at every last possible moment, and through all that we do in our band rehearsals, when it's time to play, they can play. And that piece obviously is from the movie Star Wars, from the new Force Awakening. And John Williams, I think, is just one of the most brilliant and prolific composers in this century. And I find that it's really important for kids to play really good music, and there's nothing better than the music of John Williams. And I hope you really enjoyed that. We watched that movie all the way to San Antonio to Fiesta, Texas, or I guess it was on the way back. And we sat and just watched the credits, and we found out where all the little parts of the music that we're playing were in it. So it was really fun to be able to do that. This next piece we're going to do is one of our UIL pieces. I think, well, I can't say I have a favorite piece, but this is one of the ones I think I just enjoyed hearing the students play on a daily basis. It's called March of the Buccaneers by Victor Flowers, and it features snare drum solo in the beginning, Adrian Arroyo, and then we have a little piccolo flute duet that reoccurs throughout the piece. Belinda Zepeda and Esmeralda Ramirez are going to be playing on that. So this is March of the Buccaneers, one of the pieces that we played at UIL. very charming piece of music. At our Christmas concert, I've been trying to do different things to expose the kids to different things, and we had a vocal soloist on our Christmas concert who sang "Oh Holy Night." It was fabulous, and I wanted to kind of recreate that again, and but in more popular arena. And we're going to bring up our guest artist for the evening, Ms. Gabrielle Wall, and she is a second-year student at Texas State University, graduated from Angleton High School, studied with Beth Casey, who's a good friend of mine, and we're going to bring her up tonight, and she's going to do a beautiful piece called "I Dreamed a Dream" from the Broadway musical Les Miserables. Thank you very much. Beautiful job, beautiful job. This next piece is one of our UIL tunes also, and I think if I had a favorite, I would say that it's probably this one. It's called Sparks, and it's based off of very small little motives in the music, and all the little bitty parts is the spark. And I think sometimes when I'm teaching my students, I think of every time one little piece of something becomes a spark, then it kind of builds. And if I had to say anything about the band this year, I would say that there's sparks going all the time, and when they bring it together, fireworks happen. So this next piece is called Sparks by Brian Balmages. They're just pretty crazy good, aren't they? Give them another round of applause. Amazing. You know, we talk a lot in our band hall about legacy and what that means and how to build on success and how to keep doing something better. And I tell the students all the time, my two favorite words are you have to work hard, okay? And number one, always do your best. And if you do those two things, you can do anything that you want to do. And this little band behind me just never gave up. And I'm pretty relentless, but so are they. And I push them a little bit more. They kind of push a little back. We push a little further. And when it all was said and done, I mean, it was straight first divisions across the board from every judge. And I had two of the judges call me the next day and let me know that they thought we were the best bands in Region 13 at the UIL contest. So give it up for these guys. It really says a lot. The sight reading room, when they have to go in and play everything, is just absolutely amazing, and it far exceeds my expectations on a daily basis. They're amazing kids, and that piece speaks to me because it's the spark. It's that little initial thing that makes students want to learn, and I think that these are the brightest kids, and like Ms. Bedeker said earlier, she had hers all written down. I just can't, I can't put it all on paper, but these kids are the best, and they are great students. I love good music, and I pulled out an arrangement of West Side Story. And I know probably a lot of the adults in here are very familiar with that movie. It came out in the late 50s, early 60s, if my music history is correct, written by Leonard Bernstein, who is one of the greatest American composers living. Well, not living anymore, he's passed away, but that lived in America. And the students were a little unsure about this piece at first, and I explained what the premise for the story is. It's kind of like a modern day Romeo and Juliet story, but it talks about, like the gangs of New York, and so the very beginning of the piece is supposed to be just very, very loud and very aggressive, but then you have two characters in the play that are from opposing families, kind of like, the Capulets and in the Romeo and Juliet story, and anyway, they all resolve it at the end, and but it's a beautiful arrangement of all the different pieces from West Side Story. So I hope you enjoy this. On that last piece, we featured Stephanie Gallardo on the alto saxophone solo. Before we play our last tune for the evening, which is going to be a real special treat, which I think you're going to really enjoy, I have a couple of things that I would like to say, and it's mainly to all of my students on stage, sitting out in the audience. But, you know, a lot of times you're making life choices, and hopefully they're always the right choices. And after a lot of soul searching and a lot of prayer, I've decided that at the end of this year, that, you know, because I'm getting a little bit older, even though I dyed my hair before tonight, so nobody's seen my gray hair, I wanted to make sure that my students, you know, before, I guess a couple weeks ago, when I really had made the decision to retire, the first people that I wanted to share that information with was my students before anybody else. And so I took the time to write each one of them a note, because each and every one of these students that sit on this stage behind me have special gifts that nobody else has. And they all are near and dear to my heart. And I think when I started my teaching career 34 years ago, I was right out of college, and I had several other job offers, one in El Paso, one in Hobbs, New Mexico, and if you've ever seen Hobbs, New Mexico, you would never take a job in Hobbs, New Mexico. But anyway, I had a job offer from that area, and so my college professor said, hey, there's this job opening someplace called Brazosport, and I think the pay is pretty decent. So I called right away and talked to Dr. Doug Wee, who was the fine arts supervisor at the time, one of my most dearest mentors for me, who showed me and taught me a whole lot when I first started teaching. I was just really dumb when I was first starting out. Anyway, came down, interviewed, and found out that, you know, Brazosport Independent School District paid $18,000 a year, which was more than the $11,000 in El Paso, Texas. So I was like, sign me up, I'm coming to Brazosport, plus there's a beach, right? So, and you know, the funny thing is, I came down here thinking I was gonna go to the beach all the time, and I don't ever go to the beach, but I thought it sounded like a great idea at the time. But I'll never forget, as long as I live, the very first day that I taught, and it was at the old intermediate school, and these students don't know what a blessing it is to be in this building. It was really interesting because there was like, I don't know, 70 kids all, and we had 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at the time, and they were all in one room, and we had to go through that whole roster. John Burns is laughing because he was there with me. We were both hired at the same time. But we went through this long roster of lists, and I'm gonna share this little boy's name, but he was the cutest little thing, but he was the last part of the alphabet, and we called the roll, and his name was Dung Vu, and he stood up and he says, my name is Dung Vu, but you will call me Joe. And I went, and Joe it will be. And so that started my career at Freeport Intermediate. But from the minute I walked in the doors to our first concert, to all those kids, it was the most, I don't know, it's like a hook, like takes over your heart, and you fall in love every year, over and over again, with every class that goes through. And as I see all my current students and my former students here tonight, how do you, and when you go out in public, and the great thing is that they're all doing well. Every single one of them, whenever I run into anybody, they're all doing well, they're all successful, they're doing great. And the kids in Freeport are the best. And don't ever let anybody say anything otherwise, because they are the best. Before we play our last song, this is for my students. I did take the time. Mr. Laren, our director that was here doing the third band earlier, shared this with me, and it took my breath away, but if I can do this without totally losing it, I'm pretty good about not crying. I can bring it back in pretty good. This is for my students, so I'm just going to turn and face you. Before you leave the band room for the last time, you need to stop. You need to take a look around for just one more moment. These four walls have seen you at your worst and at your best. They have watched families created and families fall apart. They have seen love between two people and one-sided crushes. They have seen your most joyous days and maybe melancholy ones. They have seen the person you were when you walked in for the first time, and now have seen the person you are for the last time. And when you turn back around and you walk through the halls for the last time, know that those walls are silently weeping. And maybe you are too, because you both have realized in order to go somewhere in life, you must leave home. FIS Symphonic Band, I adore you, and you are the best. And with that said,
okay, how's everybody doing? Hanging in there? Sorry, I didn't quite make it over to get a whole bunch of tissues, so my apologies. Hopefully you're old school like my dad and still carries a hanky. Alright, so y'all understand how Mrs. Crummell and I met 3 very fast years ago. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and say this too, is that whenever you hop into a new job, students, most importantly, I know adults, parents really understand this, it's a leap of faith. Are you going to get along with your boss? Are you going to get along with your coworkers? Because you never really know until you go. And when I walked out of that interview, I called my parents, I said, it's a long drive, but this is going to work. And so luckily, Linda saw something in me that I didn't quite see in myself. And in return, I got to meet more amazing people, such as Jerry Crummell. Her son's even here, Chris, today, and Chad's on the other side of the world. So, but he's coming home soon. So without further ado and trying to keep myself in line, the students have put together, with most wonderful accompaniment of your husband, okay, Husband of the Year award right here. Okay, so, and so from the students and Mr. Crummell, we're going to start with this one. Okay, let me hold your phone. That brings me to don't shake. Thank you, Dante. I appreciate your support, your present opening. Okay, so what this is, she goes to Lanier in the mornings. So what this is a picture within a picture within a picture. And it's the cover titles of each song they played in Mrs. Crummell's finest and final year, and then adding some extra matting where each symphonic band student who accomplished all these goals this year have given what they can for this wonderful woman right here. Oh wait, there's more. And I have Mr. Laren standing up here. This is Mr. Laren, his Bedecker gift. And we're going to present this to you. And it says, from Tim Watson-Heiser, who's one of Mrs. Crummell's former teachers, being a musician maps the human mind for success in all areas of life. And we present this to Linda Crummell in grateful appreciation for exemplary leadership and dedication to the Freeport Intermediate School bands for 34 years. not to be outdone, our students have a couple things they'd like to say. I would like to call it Tyler, Belinda, Stephanie. So we have a couple people.
Oh, wow. I can't believe how short this year has been. Meeting all new people, all new 7th graders, it's been so amazing. This is really a great experience to have Miss Crummell as your teacher and have Miss Bedecker helping us out. When I'm walking through those band hall doors, I always think, what is Miss Crummell going to have us do today? What is another crazy idea of her having us do 8th notes so hard? Out of all these 3 years, she's been teaching my sister, me, and my brother. I've been so happy as her to have her as a teacher, and out of all these years, I'm really proud to have her. Thank you, Ms. Crummell.
Hello, my name's Stephanie. Anyways, well, I had Miss Crummell for the past 3 years, and like, she's been the best teacher ever. We love you, Miss Crummell. My name is Swan Fuller, and I want to start off saying thank you, Miss Crummell, for teaching me everything that I needed to learn. And I love you. Well, my name is Stephanie, and it's the 6th grade. It's the 6th grade. You taught us how to put our saxophone together, all the instruments. I always thought this was so dumb. Like I just wanted to play already, but I knew I had to be patient. We all love you and appreciate you for everything you've done for us. We will love you and miss you. Same goes to Miss Bedecker. Like she said, she's our crazy aunt. She's our crazy aunt. Mr. Mayor, congratulations for your producing. Spoiler alert. I didn't hear nothing. And Miss Crummell, you're our wonderful mom, and we all love you.
Okay. Alright, some things are just how they are. Like, everybody loves Miss Crummell. Everybody loves Miss Crummell. That's just how it are. And another thing is just how it is all the woodwinds are gonna cry. So, some things will just be forever. Woodwinds will cry, and everyone will love Miss Crummell forever and ever. You have taught us everything and always been there for us, as well as Miss Bedecker. Miss Bedecker is a tuba, but she cries too. Yeah. So, we wish you good farewell, and you better be at all our concerts. That's it.
Okay, I'm Tyler, and first of all, I don't know why y'all are crying, because it should be very sad. Because Miss Crummell, gets to move on and do stuff that she's always wanted to do. And thank you for teaching us.
Well, students, you totally surprised me, and Mr. Crummell, Ms. Bedecker, Mr. Laren. And there's one other person that tonight, like, I have to say, thank you to Mr. Shane Rutherford, our percussion instructor. He's been working on tirelessly all night, and I can't go on without telling you, Mr. Rutherford, how much I adore you and your sense of humor. He pretended today that he was going to almost drop the vibes 3 times, and I had a heart attack, and he was doing it all for fun. I love you, Shane. You're a great teacher, and we appreciate you. Mr. Boucher, thank you for being here tonight. Ms. Boucher, awesome. Love you guys. Before we play our last number, I want to thank everybody again for tonight. I told the students that I wanted our last piece tonight to be joyous, and I want it to be something that as they walk out the door, everybody remembers tonight, our last piece. I'm really blessed in so many ways, but I'm very blessed by, number one, the man upstairs, and then my family who support me, my husband, unbelievable person that you are. Chris, thank you for being here tonight. My oldest son, my youngest son is halfway across the world, but coming home soon, so he's going to be here soon. So unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight. But our last number is a Beatles tune, and it's one of my favorite ones. And when my youngest son got married this last January, the song that we danced to was this particular song. The mother-son dance. And I just think it's one of the greatest pieces, joyous pieces, very simple piece. But I'm lucky that I have, an arranger extraordinaire, because I couldn't find an arrangement, and Mr. Crummell graciously arranged this piece of music for the FIS band. One of my goals was to have a piece of music written for the FIS band, but it cost like $9,000 to have that done. So anyway, my personal arranger, Mr. Crummell, thank you for doing this for us. And we're going to bring up some special guests, but before we do that, I do want to make an announcement. And Ms. Merritt, I want to thank you for all of your support the last 2 years that you've been here with the FIS band. I have truly enjoyed being on your campus and one of your teachers, and I love you very much. And Claire Sell Davis, thank you for my former boss being here tonight. I love you. And Carla Funderburg, and y'all are just sitting right there together, so I got to acknowledge all of y'all for being here tonight. Thank you for being here. And all the other FIS teachers that are here tonight, thank you, dear friend Susan Williams, for all of your friendship and support forever. I truly have my whole heart and soul in the city of Freeport, and I love this community, made it my home. My kids went to school here, graduated, and it's the best place your kids can be. So just remember that. We're gonna make one other small announcement, not really small, but when I talked to Ms. Merritt about who is gonna be taking over this position, Ms. Bedecker is leaving also, so there's two holes that we had to fill. But I went in to see Ms. Merritt, and I said, without a doubt, the person that's the right person for this job that needs to be in this place is Mr. Randy Laren. And the students already know this, and they all were excited today, but Mr. Laren will be our new head director at Freeport next year. And I know that he is going to lead this band to the next greatest level because he's a brilliant, brilliant teacher and brilliant musician. And he's a kid magnet. Kids love him. So it's going to be fun. So, without any further ado, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. And we're going to close tonight with Hey Jude.